welcome back to the Journey to the FarLands. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, let's see here. Okay, got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of crap, and so on, just like usual. Let's bust out of here. And nobody unpleasant about, so get that blocked off. And the west is that way, and apparently I need that boat, so let's get going and proceed onwards to the FarLands, journeying westward. Minecraft Beta 1.7.3, headed to the FarLands, raising money for Child's Play charity along the way, and generally talking and yakking and discussing this and that and the other, answering questions, and so on. This is the morning of the 412th Minecraft day since leaving spawn so long ago. And yeah, for Wednesday, the 23rd of November, episode 135. Getting up there a little bit. Well, tending to business first. The size of the world currently at 4,945.43 megabytes. Getting to be quite respectable, I think. Other business that I have been tending to normally, calories consumed the day before, the value of the morning weigh-in and such. I am going to lay off of that for just a few days before I get back to that routine. I will be getting back to that routine because losing weight is very important to me. Perhaps a teensy bit more so now than it was before, but yeah, still an important thing that I really very much want to do and will be working on for the foreseeable future until I reach my goal weight. I decided that I want to weigh 175 pounds. There was a time, a long time ago, many years ago, perhaps even in a galaxy far, far away, but definitely many years ago, where I weighed 175 pounds. Now, I know I was totally skinny as a rail, and, you know, the old joke about he's so skinny he could go as a zipper and all that, and I could actually hide behind telephone poles, literally, and so on. But, yeah, I'm aiming to get to that point once again. I want to be that skinny guy again. And I thought I was going to get away with that. All right. Anyway, moving onward here to this little islet where I will probably get another boat out. Yes, weight loss is definitely still a priority, and in some ways a bigger priority than it has been. But we'll get to that. I'm sure that some have noticed that I have been somewhat absent from YouTube in the last few days, the last weekend in particular. And that is both on the vlog here on the vlog channel and on the gaming channel. And I have indeed actually been absent. I have been absent from home, as a matter of fact. And this adventure, it started Sunday morning. Last Sunday morning, I woke up and I was hurting pretty bad. Now, in and of itself, that's actually not anything particularly remarkable. I almost always hurt pretty bad when I first wake up because I have this little quirk. When I go to sleep, I get comfortable, at least as comfortable as I can, and I get into a position where I can sleep, and I go to sleep. And when I wake up, I am in the exact same position. I do not move while I'm asleep. And that can make for some very uncomfortable times, because the little movements that people make when they're asleep, adjusting positions here and there, those are what prevent you from hurting like crazy when you wake up. You try laying on your side in one position for an hour or two without moving anything, and you will quickly come to appreciate the value of those little unconscious moves and rolls and turns and whatnot as you sleep. I don't do those things. But no, the hurting that particular morning was more than just the normal aches and pains of waking up. Brief pause. There we go. What can I say? Sinuses are evil, and it's unfortunate that we have them, but I suppose necessary in some ways. But anyway, that morning it was more than just the usual aches and pains, because it didn't take me long to figure out where the worst of the pain was. The worst of the pain was square in the middle of my chest. And I ached no matter what. It hurt to move, it hurt to not move, and so on and so forth. And I dealt with it as best I can. I got out what little bit of painkiller I had, and I used it, and it helped a little bit. But, you know, it got a little bit better, and then it got a little worse, and so on and so forth. And finally, as Sunday came to a close, I decided that, all right, if I feel like this in the morning, I am going to haul my butt into the doctor's office, because I know this is not good, okay? I know this is not a good set of symptoms to be carrying around, especially when you are on the high side of 58. You know, it's not good, really not good. And so I went in to see the doctor, and I explained how things had gone and what was going on. And he does a little bit of examining and testing, and he tells me that I need to head into a nearby town to see a cardiologist. And I was honestly quite hesitant at start to begin with, because going to Batesville from where I live is, well, from my front door, it's about a 50-mile drive. I wasn't looking forward to that. He offered the possibility of calling an ambulance and having me go that way. This, of course, underscored the seriousness of the issue. And I decided, okay, I will go, because taking an ambulance, while relieving me of the stress of travel, would leave me stuck there afterwards trying to figure out how to get home with my car all the way back here. Yeah, not good. Let's see if I can sneak through this one. And so I went home, made a call or two, and then got myself in gear and headed down to the hospital. And, well, another thing about it was that he told me, you know, that I was going to be there for a couple of days, he said. So he already pretty well had it figured out, and I suppose I should have. But anyway, the long and the short of it is, evidently, Sunday, I had a heart attack. apparently not of the really super major variety, but it was bad enough. And I got in there to the hospital, and in fairly short order, they wanted me to get into to have a heart cath done to examine the extent of things and so on. And so they send me into the cath lab, get me set up there, and they get moving me onto the table where they're going to do the procedure. And this is basically where they send a small catheter inside an artery. Well, they get access through the femoral artery. This is that big bleed out artery in your leg that feeds the blood to the legs. And I call it a bleed out because if that sucker gets cut, you bleed out within minutes, totally. It goes straight to the heart, and it's got the full pressure of it under there. But yeah, they run this catheter, a probe, through that into the heart, and they examine the blood vessels that feed the heart muscles on the outside of the heart. And I should also say that apparently, according to what I remember hearing, that in the cath lab, as they're getting me set up to do this, apparently I had another heart attack, which was, oh, such a joy to hear, let me tell you. Yeah, such a complete and utter thrill of a joy. You want to hear that in Twice on Sunday, not? Just a second. I need to turn my headset down just a bit. I love that music, but it was kind of drowning out everything else, which is why I probably got loud just now. Anyway, brief pause. Okay, here we go. Onwards. Oh, excuse me. I thought I took care of that with the last brief pause. Anyway, so, yeah. In any event, disastrous consequences averted, because they had some skilled people there doing their thing and so on. And in the process of doing this thing, they found a number of blockages in the arteries that feed the muscles of my heart. And they applied a standard fix to that. They put in stents to reopen those blood vessels and get the flow going again so that everything's cool. They found, they showed me the picture of it. In fact, they gave me a hard copy of it. It shows where one was blocked 79% and another was blocked 100%. Really not the kind of thing you ever want to have happen. But they got everything made cool. They put in the stents and opened them up, and they're flowing good now. I have been told that there is at least one more place they want to work on, but apparently it was decided that I need to be given a few weeks to recoup a bit before they take that step. So sometime in the next few weeks, I expect to be visiting that cath lab again. And that's not the first time I was there. I was there once back in 2007 to have this procedure done and a stent put in back then. So the two I got this weekend was numbers 2 and 3. Beautiful. And quite an adventure. I didn't have an easy time in the cath lab. I didn't have an easy time in there the first time back in 2007 because that's when I discovered that I was actually allergic to something. Specifically, I was allergic to the dye that they used in the heart catheter procedure. And that did not go very well. I recovered from it nicely. I was awake during the procedure. You are awake during a heart catheter procedure, generally speaking, as I understand it. And I told them about the symptoms I was feeling at the time, and they realized, oh boy, he's having an allergic reaction. Get him something to fix that. And they did. And this time they knew about the allergy going in, and they took preventative measures, so that wasn't the issue. But like I said, I was pretty much told that, told or overheard, I don't remember exactly which. I was kind of fuzzy at the time. I was really busily focusing on breathing, because when I woke up after the heart cath, and that's a sign right there, you shouldn't wake up after it, you should be awake during it and after it. I went in there, everything was fine, and I woke up after being back up in the room, and there's this guy standing over me working an ambu bag, forcing me to breathe. This is not exactly the sort of thing you ever want to experience. I guarantee you. It didn't take me long, even in that fuzzy-brained kind of condition that you would be in that situation, to realize that it was very important that I cooperate with their urgings to do everything I could to breathe. And so I did. And I tried to help them out by telling them that I know that after a heart cath procedure, because of the fact that they have to go in through that very important artery, that they have to keep you flat for some time afterwards, because the risk of a bleed out is severe at first until it heals up. But I told them that I know you can't get me upright, but as much upright as you can get me will help me. And they got me as much upright as they could, and it helped. The more upright they got me, the easier it was for me to breathe. Because, they take me out of there, and I'm laying flat on my back. Laying flat on my back is very hard for me to breathe. This is why I don't ever sleep on my back. Because I consider breathing to be a very fun and important thing to do every minute of every day. And so, it's like a couple of hours later, when the worst of the crisis is over, they've got me into more and more levels of upright, more degrees of uprightness. And, finally, they've got me sitting on the edge of the bed, and I'm breathing much better, and they're able to start turning down the percentage of oxygen they're feeding me. And, well, they were feeding me pretty much full blast oxygen to start with, and by the end of that day, they had me weaned down to 2% oxygen. So that's good. When you don't need that much extra oxygen or pure oxygen fed to you, this is good. It's much better to be able to function on room air. Oh man, it was such an adventure. Not one that I ever want to repeat. And I came out of it with another fun thing. Prior to sending me home, they gave me a thing they call a life vest. And this life vest has nothing to do with what you might normally picture when somebody says life vest. You think about a flotation device for use in water. That is not what this is. This thing is a kind of a harness. I wear this thing, and mounted in it are 4 electrodes and 4 sensors. The sensors monitor my heart, and if the device that they're hooked up to, which is about the size of, I don't know, about the size of an old style film camera, like one of those fancy expensive Nikons or Canons or something like that. It weighs about 4 or 5 pounds. And, it monitors the heart rate. If it detects certain arrhythmias, the heart beating way too fast and things like that, it will then, well, the first thing it does is activate a buzzer in your back, mounted in the back of this harness thing. And if that doesn't get your attention, it will thus sound an audible alarm, which is a kind of a shrieking, piercing wail that you couldn't possibly miss. And you have time to do something to stop it from giving you a shock. There are 2 buttons on the thing, and upon receipt of either of those signals, I have to press both of those buttons at the same time to stop it from giving me a shock. Because if I don't do that, the device's natural assumption is going to be, if he doesn't do something to stop it, perhaps he can't. And that means the shock would have been needed. And it will then deliver a shock which is capable of restarting a stopped heart. Of course, this brings to mind the picture that if it's capable of restarting a stopped heart, what could it do to one that's already running? I don't ever want to find out, at least not from personal experience. My goal is to never feel this thing shock me. I get to wear this thing for 90 days. I already hate it. I can see the necessity of it and the precautionary things. And I was told that apparently they very seldom actually go off in a needed fashion. The service of the machine is very seldom actually needed. But in those cases where it is, it saves lives. And okay, I can see that. And so on. I mean, it records data about my heart and transmits it back to the doctor's office somewhere. And I guess they get to keep tabs on me that way to make sure I'm all right. And that's cool. But I have been wearing this thing for right now about 18 hours since I first got it, as of this recording. And I can hardly wait until they tell me that I can package the thing up and send it back to them. I can hardly wait. I am so looking forward to that day. Because the buzzing in your back, the buzzers that I mentioned, and the audible alarm, I have felt the buzzing several times. I have heard that audible alarm a couple of times. And this is where basically, no matter what you're doing, stop and hit those buttons. And, I mean, it was kind of a goofy thing. I had gotten home. And I sat down for a little bit and just kind of unwound from the trip. And I went back into the kitchen to open up the bag this thing came in to get out the charging device and this Wi-Fi hotspot thing that it uses to communicate with, to get those plugged in and usable. I was standing at the kitchen table, fishing these things out of the bag, when it buzzed on me. And I'm thinking, come on. I'm standing here not doing anything but fishing this stuff out of a bag. Basically what it comes down to is that I am by necessity going to become skilled in keeping my heart rate low and even-ish. To maintaining a low, even heart rate so that this thing does not feel the need to attack a perceived problem with electricity. Oh boy. It's like part of my weight loss plans did, contrary to what I think a few believed, my weight loss plans did include the addition of additional physical activity designed to burn calories and help me lose weight. That additional exercise is now on hold. Because one thing I know for absolute certain is that doing this is going to elevate the heart rate seriously. And I really, really, really do not want to have this, to risk this thing firing its electrical charge at me. I really don't. And so, while I will try to increase physical activity in whatever safe and sane-ish ways that I can manage, like a little bit of extra walking or, stuff like that, walking around the house more than likely, and so on. Things like trying to use my broken down exercise bike. I was going to try to do that. I have decided not to, at least for a while. It presents more of a hassle risk and more of another risk that I just plain don't want to deal with. And, better safe than jolted. That's what I think. Better safe than jolted. You think being jilted is bad? Try being jolted. And I do, in my earlier, younger life, have a little bit of experience with electrical jolts. Not of the intentionally heart-stopping starting variety, but, I used to mess around with electronics, and I've poked around inside a television or 3 or 6, and I've been bitten by a flyback transformer a couple of times. I'll tell you what, they call it that for a reason. You ever think why they call a flyback transformer? Yeah, when you think about the amount of voltage that goes through those things, it's pretty obvious why they call it a flyback. Because you quite literally fly back from it when it bites you. I mean, seriously, larger color television sets could have a flyback transformer capable of delivering 250,000 volts or more. It's a lot of voltage. Fortunately, the amperage is down. Otherwise, it would be the end of you in no short order. No amount of time at all. And anyway, I think it's pretty much getting close to the end of an episode here too, so it's time to start digging in. Get the overnight hidey hole dug out. And big enough to fit in. Let's start putting in some light. And make sure it's dug long enough so as not to feel claustrophobic. And has enough light to actually see something. Alright, let's get the bed down and see about making some more beds. Okay, note to self, collect wood in the next episode. Meanwhile, we get some beds made. I've already got 3 boats, so that should be a good start. Get this collected. And there we go. In any event, it's been a fun time. I'm glad to be back doing things, and I will be continuing the making of videos, both vlog and game type. Might be a somewhat relaxed pace for a little while, but I will be picking things up. In the meantime, be sure to stop by TinFoilChef.com, where you too can donate to Child's Play charity and help bring us closer and closer to the goal so that we can have another live stream of F3ness and find out how far I've come. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I am out of here.